It's me, Vera, here to remind you that this is an adult podcast. That means we're going to deal with tough topics. Take a break if you need it, and be kind to yourself, because we sure won't be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some more Crack Crown, episode 17. As always, I am your host, Mike Martin, joined by one and only player again, Bub. What's up? Welcome back for the second and final Duke solo.
I'm ready for it. The previous episodes kind of got me amped, so I'm eager to see exactly where this goes.
Yeah, me too. I'm very, very excited. We were going to do a duo, but there's a lot going on in New York for Duke, and he's been away for a while, so we got some stuff to cover. You guys could sponsor Duke by going to patreon.com/podbynight. If we could just have infinite number of tiers and it not be obnoxious, be like, sponsor Duke tier, sponsor Vera tier, and sponsor the character. I don't know what you would get in turn, but that's about where the idea died out for me. So head to patreon.com/podbynight. You can support us directly over there. It's the lifeblood of any of the Pod by Night shows: Desperate Measures, Stitch of Fate, Crack Crown, Scot Free. All of that is directly in existence because you guys have just been making sure we get to keep making more content for you. So if you head over there and support us at any of the tiers, you're going to get something cool or a benefit into doing so. For instance, we have the after shows over there at the $5 tier. You can get the after shows for the audio version. The $10 tier, it comes with the video version. If you're on the Discord, which is free to join, by the way, but you're part of the Patreon, you'll also get a unique color, access to a couple of the locked rooms. And if you're of the high enough tier, you can even participate in the text RP stuff that's happening on the Discord, which all takes place like in the background of Gary as the main story is happening, with the occasional like nod or like reference to what's happening there in the story itself. It's really cool to just see everybody super excited. I feel like we have more players joining as time goes on, and it's like, I know Josh has been trying to get me to sit down and like, he's like, I need to update you. And I'm like, I'm trying. We'll find time, I promise. But they want to do some wacky shit. That's all I'm going to say. I won't spoil anything. But the things he's saying are like, okay, well, if they want to die, that's fine. Their choice, not mine. That being said, there is Discord, Patreon. You could also like tip and subscribe here on Twitch. This gives you emotes that we've got new stuff uploading all the time. We have an Ava emote that is on the way. I don't know if it's being approved or not yet. Yeah. So that's going to be there. We've got Bub emotes, Ollie emotes, Dakota emotes. Do we have Vera? We have Vera emotes yet? No Vera emotes yet. We'll get there. There's so many emote slots to fill. Is that it? Did I miss anything, Bub?
No, I don't think so, man. I think we're still waiting on, and we encourage the fan art. So if you guys want to come,
yes.
We are looking at the future of more podcasting stuff, and we have cool news on the front of like Werewolf going forward. But that stuff is like hard locked. We can't give you the deets until we start hitting some of those big goals, because this stuff isn't free, right? Like we got to pay for art, we have to pay for production materials, we've got editing. There's a lot going on. Plus, we have to pay for guests, and we make sure that everyone in this cast gets paid fairly and equally. So, if you want more stuff like that, then support on the Patreon. And if you can't, if financially things are just a little too tight right now, sticking around here and being active in the chat means so much more than you realize. Share it. Let people know. Tell your mom. Tell your neighbor. Let some folks know at school. Whatever it is that you're doing, we look forward to it because we want to keep telling stories for a long time. Long time.
Yeah, I don't see me stopping doing this unless you all stop. Like, if you guys are like, I'm done, then I'm like, I'm done then, because you're the ones I want to play with, and that's pretty much it at this point. Yeah, like you said, a lot of the stuff that goes into making a show just isn't seen. It's not like obvious to people, where you pay in the editors and the art and the players. You have to pay for subscriptions to use like the service we're using right now just to even talk to each other, to make sure it's of high quality. So again, when I say monthly Patreon
licenses, there's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of like small expenses that all pile up. But like, again, as we've said from the beginning, That's why Patreon is our lifeblood. You guys are allowing us to make our quality just grow and keep doing new shows. So with that said, we just had a nice meeting between Cesar and Duke, as Cesar tried to pitch Duke to stay in New York. And so we're going to pick up right from, well, a little bit, a few days after that, but right around that time where he's still in New York, and we're going to see exactly what Duke was up to before he inevitably returns to Gary, Indiana. So with that said, let's set the scene, rein things in, and see what Duke is up to. We hear the noise of a rumbling engine tearing by as we clearly sit on the side of a sidewalk somewhere in New York. Before our vision fades in, we can hear the ka-chunk, followed by the second ka-chunk of what is, to those who are old enough to remember, the sounds of quarters falling into a payphone. And as our vision does begin to fade in, we can hear the definitive beeping of the dial tones as each individual button is pressed. And we can see Duke sat in an actual working payphone that sits on the side of a street, spray painted. The windows or what glass is there completely shattered long ago. And the fact that this thing even had a dial tone when you lifted it, Duke, surprised you. However, you recently got a beep on your wonderful beeper from the 90s.
Yeah.
From a number that indicates Gary, Indiana, more specifically, the number you know, Vera. Actually, let me ask, how many people have that number? How many people have the beeper number?
Specifically, from the coterie, it's Vera. None of the others have it. I don't think any of the others are even aware that I have it because it's, I'm pretty sure it's technically a breach of the Masquerade. There's a high chance that Cesar would have it. And I think that's probably it.
So you would know it's not Cesar.
Luther.
So, of course. And it not coming from New York, it rules out two of the three. And so the beeper simply had a number to call. And as you are in this payphone pressing that last button, the other line merely rings for half a ring before we hear the definitive noise of a old rotary phone style kind of getting picked up off of its hanger. And we hear a voice in turn.
Duke?
Yes, Vera.
I was checking in.
Things are fairly standard here. It seems like I'm going to be here for a short time. However, Cesar needs me to clean up some paperwork for him, especially in regards to some of the more vacated real estate after our leave of absence. He's reacquiring the club.
Reacquiring?
Yes, he was partial owner with your sire, but since your sire has met an untimely demise, my sire, Cesar, has gone through the act of acquiring it for his own personal gain.
Well, tell him I said good luck. It's a wretched, cursed place, Duke.
I'll inform him. I've given him some of the details already.
Well, I can say you'd be proud to know I had to fill out paperwork. Insurance paperwork.
Oh. And I'm sorry, I wasn't there to make this any easier on you.
Oh, it's okay. I technically had John write it. I just dictated. I guess you could say a van accidentally exploded into the front of our building. The tire shop, that is.
Oh.
The good news is the expenses are now covered.
I'm assuming it wasn't a simple touch-and-go situation.
As touch and go as it usually is.
Understood.
It got a bit hot for a minute, but it's fine. We handled it, and we have acquired the bank.
Oh.
And a potential investor or two.
I've got to say, I'm impressed. I didn't know that you were venturing out into that form of capitalism in our world.
Well, everything has a price, and I'm most interested in offering Gary what he needs. Which is money and some feeding structure.
I think it's going to need some Windex and some elbow grease as well.
Yes, well, the outside comes last, Duke. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are if your insides are shit. So you have to fix the core of the problem, and the problem is nobody cares about Gary, Indiana.
I can see
Think
why.
of I'm like its adoptive mother. I'm coming in to offer it the love and and compassion that it always desperately needed. Oh, and lest I not forget, we've had a few interesting revelations.
Go on.
The book we were looking for is not a book.
Right, I anticipated that it was something more. What? Yet I don't know. It's never something as simple as an
Living
immediate
something,
artifact.
something. It is not a book.
Okay,
I guess you could say it's a little bit more complicated than that. Because somebody already owns the not book. Somebody that's not really supposed to be here anymore.
there I hate code.
I know, but we're on a phone. Okay, fine. It was my understanding that the last prince, Maxwell, was not with us anymore. That seems that is not the case.
Alright, that doesn't sound very good.
Well, we've been through worse.
The former
He is
prince.
Yes, former. This is the key word, what I keep telling everyone. He lost his chance.
Sound like
No
a
matter
Hardy
what.
Boys novel. Where's
Yes,
Ben?
well. My question exactly. Would you please come home?
I'm
I've been asking these questions, and nobody takes me seriously. But when you ask them, they listen.
I'm trying. I'm sorry. It's going to be a few more nights while I'm here, and with any luck, I won't be coming home alone. I'll have company with me. I don't wish to
Company?
spoil a surprise, but we may have
You,
someone bunking down with us for a while.
I hate company and surprises, Duke.
Well, it should make Sean happy.
No, you're not.
I'm waiting to see if I can discover where they've located themselves.
Well, the more the merrier, right? Not that she's ever gotten us into any trouble.
That's not true at all. She's gotten us into plenty of trouble, but I've...
That is the point. I know, maybe it's the phone. That was sarcasm,
it's the distance.
Duke.
I'm
Yes. Okay.
not very good at this. I need to read people. I have to see them in front of me, Vera. You understand this?
Well, then come back to Gary. And I'll have this conversation with you in person.
Very well. I'll be home as soon as I can.
Oh, and if he's looking for, like, good graces or whatever, he can have the club. It's old news anyways.
He doesn't really want the club, Vera. He wants me.
What do you mean?
He wants me to stay in New York. Permanently.
Oh no, is he having detachment issues?
I suppose there is some signs of empty nest syndrome, but I think it's because he recognizes that I'm the most valuable asset and nuisance at the same time.
Well, aren't you far out of his hair in Gary, Indiana? What is it that he really wants?
I don't know entirely. He seemed
I don't
authentic in his
trust that.
response about wishing something well for me, but
Well,
it's still to be determined.
just take care of yourself. We're not there to have your back.
Thank you, Vera.
Until then, just keep the whole ex-prince business and book business under detail. Oh, and I have you a t-shirt. You wear like an extra large.
A 3XL.
Okay, we'll
An
print
XL
up a
would look like
fresh.
it was painted on my body.
Well, that is kind of the theme of the tire shop, so, we'll talk about it when you get back.
I was going to say, are you going to tell him about the stripper tire shop?
Um, Well, it is a successful business already. It's going to be a smash hit, the tires of Gary, Indiana.
Very well. Have you laid out the claim for insurance or anything of that matter?
Oh, yes, paperwork is signed. They're rebuilding now, bigger, better than ever. Oh, and we have, employees.
Employees. I'll be home as soon as I can, and I'll prepare for our first audit.
Garrett,
I look
Garrett's
forward to your
manager,
return.
dude.
Yes, we have a manager, and Sean is going to be looking at some side hustles. It'll be great. It's already going well.
Did you say that
fat.
Sean's the manager?
Well, Sean's like, he comes and goes as he pleases. But the manager is Garrett.
Garrett from Gary.
Yes. Yes, he was a wonderful scout for the necessary new hires.
You've allowed him to manage your business. You said that he would
Business.
do literally anything for money.
Well, that is kind of the point of the tire shop, Duke.
I'll wrap up everything I can as soon as I can, I promise.
I think you're going to be very proud.
There are some hints of doubt.
When have I ever led you astray?
It's not you, Vera. It's the company you keep.
Oh, well, you're part of that company, Duke.
You aren't wrong.
Well, be well, and tell New York I said fuck all, okay? Talk to you
Will.
soon.
Goodbye, Vera.
Just before you're able to say goodnight, Vera, you feel something pressed into your lower back. Duke. Takes a moment if you stay silent and you just hear behind you, take everything out of your pocket, put it on the ground, you can fucking go. Just take everything I just want. Just take everything you have. You still stand there with the phone. Vera, if you are still amongst us, can you please make me a wits awareness to see if you catch what little disturbance might be happening before you hang up?
Oh, yes, of course. This go.
This is perfect.
I got two.
You got 2 successes. You hear you don't really hear definitive words. You hear what sounds like a mumbling, very, very faint mumbling in the background. I don't know if you would consider that suspicious or not. You are Vera. I am not. So
Duke.
And Duke, as you hear her, you have the phone still on your ear. You hadn't said goodbye when you felt it pressed. So as we pull back, we can hear Vera saying Duke over the line in that tone. But we see Duke with some hooded figure holding something into his back.
Duke will slowly let the phone fall to his side and let it rest. So not so that it's like dangling, but so that it actually just comes to a resting spot.
Mm-hmm.
And Duke will just slowly kind of start to turn that head over shoulder to see who's behind him.
As soon as you start moving, it gets pushed into your back harder. Don't move. Give me your fucking shit, and we can just go. Last warning. I ain't kidding. I've done it before.
See, I keep my wallet in my front pocket.
He reaches very haphazardly with his left hand and starts patting down your left leg, and then he'll switch hands, holding it, and then try to pat down the right leg. Does he feel a wallet? Are you actually carrying a wallet?
He keeps his cash in like a clip in his upper front pocket.
As he reaches, eventually does feel the money, he quickly yanks it out of your pocket, and then kind of quickly pats down what he can before saying, "Got anything else on you?"
Duke is going to turn.
As soon as you turn, having happily gotten the money, you feel the gun, what you assume is the gun, pulled off of your back, and he goes running off down the nearby alley. Money in hand.
Duke picks up the phone again.
Vera, you're still there?
I'm still talking. So I have this idea for these t-shirts, right? Maybe like a crop top
Vera.
with the neon sign. Yes.
Vera, I'm hungry, and he's taken my time. So I'm going to take his blood.
That seems like a fair trade. Just don't leave a mess.
Duke hangs up the phone.
Did you just hear the click? Duke? Scent of the Beast or Bloodhound, please?
Yeah.
As he is not in vision anymore.
So this is, do you want an awareness resolve?
Yeah, awareness resolve to pick up on what his blood is, and then I'm going to have you roll something else.
Got it. 4 successes.
Well, beautiful. So you do, you could smell his blood, another choleric smell, definitely a little fear on there. But it was pretty distinctive. He was up close. He wasn't wearing any perfume to disguise it, nor was he wearing any deodorant. So it was very clear when he was really close what that blood smelled like. With that, a wits streetwise check with a +1 is allowed to be rolled.
Okay. Wits. Streetwise. I got 2 successes.
You could re-roll one of those if you so choose.
Sure, why not?
Duke's not a streetwise man, but 2 successes is still like good.
No.
So 2 successes. As the camera kind of retakes us in, as we re-describe it, we see Duke begin to turn, and that's when this figure that we're only seeing the back of with the hoodie up over his head quickly pulls whatever it is he was sticking into his back and bolts to his left. You can hear his footsteps before you look to him, Duke, and as you look him in the alley, you can see just a little bit of him as he quickly darts off to the right before you lose sight. But in that moment, we see Duke, as always, is calm. He takes a willing, deep breath, takes in the taste on the back of his tongue as he takes it in, and is able to, like a hound, know what he's smelling for. And Duke doesn't go down the alley. He knows these streets much better. We simply see Duke take a right, and our camera hangs there as he grows distant and more distant before turning a corner. Our vision hard cuts to a man panting heavily, running and dipping past a homeless man who is drinking and stumbling up a near brick wall and shoving some girl out of the way who's in the alley and blocking his way to the sidewalk. Now that our camera swings to the front, we see a haggard individual. It's hard to put an age on him, as his physical appearance is that of someone who's seen a lot of wear and tear, shall we say. He's sweating a bit, and he keeps whipping his own view over his shoulder for brief moments. And every time he seems to be safe, he breaks into the sidewalk amongst a small group of people, and he just starts running down the sidewalk for a bit, and we trail behind him, bobbing up and down as we pass by other civilians and broken down cars and buildings with smashed out windows that are boarded up, until eventually he looks back and he seems to be okay. He stops for a minute, doesn't slow to a walk, but more of a light jog, looking over his shoulder one more time and dabbing his forehead with his arm to wipe the sweat away. And as he looks over to the right, across the street, ahead of him on the block, on the other side of the block, a stoic, tall man with his white button-down shirt, khakis, glasses, and undeniable mustache, stands watching. You see him, Duke, where you expected him to come out. He pours out of the alley and he keeps looking behind him, not understanding what or who he's dealing with. Then you see him run up, slow to that jog, and is none the wiser to your presence. And it's at that moment he quickly pulls out a wad of cash and starts to count it.
Is he still walking?
Yep.
Walking in my direction.
Yes, he's just on the other side of the street.
Okay. I am going to start crossing that street, but my eyes never avert from his face. I wait for him to look up.
I'm going to give him a roll to see if he notices, because he's... How much did you carry on you?
I carry a few $100s. This is probably like max $400.
And he's looking down, even rolling 2 successes. I'm taking away one of those as a penalty, and he never really looks up. He only looks up just enough to make sure he doesn't bump into the nearest person. As he's counting through, I imagine 20s for the most part.
Yes.
Usable bills. You cross the street, and at the point where you cross the street, you're maybe 2 feet behind him, as he would have walked past where you're crossing just a little bit before you arrived. And we see, as you cross over, we kind of hang behind Duke now, as he patiently starts walking in that direction. And I imagine gaining ground, as his gait is much bigger than this mugger's. And when you reach him, what do you do?
Does he look over his shoulder at all? Or is this like we're walking?
No, he's like counting the money, and then he's like double counting it. If you get close enough, you can hear him kind of like, yes, fuck yes. That's like $300 fucking bucks. And he's just counting it.
Am I walking like, are we meeting in the middle or am I behind him at this point?
You're behind him, catching up to him, so.
I will wait for him to turn and notice.
And it takes a while. He eventually is sated with the money he seems to have counted 4 or 5 times, puts it into his pocket, and he does one more look back for like good measure. And it's at that moment where he realizes you're, I imagine, no more than a foot behind him. And he does meet his eye contact with yours, and you see the same face I described for our listeners.
The moment he looks back before he can react, I'm going to compel him.
Of course. It's free compel, right?
It's free.
Yep, one word or...
I see the nearest stoop, a series of steps leading up to a building, as such is the case in New York, and I command him to sit.
And perhaps just caught up in the moment, he, in just trying to get a control of him, as you say sit, he does, but he sits right where he is. Plops down with his knees up.
I move to the steps, keeping my feet on the base floor, but sitting probably like ass on the 3rd step up.
Mm-hmm.
And I move my elbows to the end of my knees, and I just kind of look at him for a moment.
People
Listening.
are walking by. The streets aren't packed. You're not in like a busy part of New York, but there's the occasional people walking by. And for the most part, they don't seem to care too much. A man sitting down on the sidewalk, talking to somebody who's on the stairs not too far from them is not, it's annoying, but it's not necessarily bizarre or suspicious. It's just kind of frustrating for some people. And we see Duke sitting there with his fingers together as he looks at the man.
Is your gun loaded?
He just says,
You didn't shoot me. You don't want to shoot people, do you?
He doesn't respond.
Compel. Answer.
No, is what he says, not my response.
What are you going to take? That money. What are you going to buy with that?
He actually answers immediately, still under the effects of compel. Food, drugs, alcohol.
You're buying it for yourself, not for another.
Uh-huh.
Why did you target me?
Dressed nice in a shitty part of the city. Easy target.
You still think I'm an easy target?
And he kind of just says, and doesn't have an answer.
Give me back the clip. It was a gift from my patron.
He reaches into his pocket and quickly just tosses it haphazardly over to you.
You need the money more than myself, clearly. You're putting your life on the line for it. Give me 50 back.
He just gives you 50 back. Wordlessly obeying your command.
Where did it go wrong? Your life, I mean, where did it go wrong? Where you're here, robbing people, at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, what? And at this point, it's not that your compel is fading, but the question is too complex to maintain its hold.
Mesmerized.
And he just, rouse?
Yeah.
Okay, you are not any hungrier. And as you look him into the eyes, you see him start to question you, or you see just the look of suspicion crawl across his face. You don't even let it get that far. Before looking into his eyes, the blood rushes through you, and you can feel through the air something connect. Unnatural. Like a thick string umbilical cord From your thoughts to his desires.
Was it in the home? Didn't start with family? Neglectful parent?
No.
Bad teacher? Someone take advantage of you? Where'd it go wrong?
When my sister died.
Was that your fault?
It
It just happened.
Car accident.
Were you in the car?
Mm-mm.
How old were you?
17.
Younger sister or older?
Older.
Your family didn't take it well.
Mm-mm.
You still speak to your mother and father?
No.
Why aren't you talking to your family?
They kicked me out.
Because of the drugs.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
23.
So it's in time. You wandered the streets. You're homeless.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. How long will that money last you?
He thinks for a minute. Probably like a week.
Well, I'm guessing that you've gone to this point because of the cravings.
Kind of just like nods uncomfortably to that.
It's dramatic, isn't it? It's amazing. Borderline violent. You put a gun in my back. This is awful. Raging, eating feeling. I empathize with you. It's a fantastic passion. Overwhelming at times. Well, I'm going to cut you some slack, my friend. You can keep those funds in your pocket. I have everything that I'll need while I'm here. The clip mattered more than anything. It came from someone important. But now you owe me. And I'm hungry. Under normal circumstances, and feed as I'd see forth in a bit more of a private setting. But you've taken something so intimate, so private, you've made it very public. So if you wish to walk away from this free, I need you to feed me. And that slack will be cut.
Okay, there's a good place down here. Follow me. And he gets up and starts walking down the street.
Duke pats the stoop next to him.
Do you command him to sit verbally?
Compel.
He stops, walks over, and sits right next to you.
I'm going to rationalize. Use rationalize in my compel.
And for those who are unfamiliar with that, have we seen Duke? We've seen him use it occasionally, I think.
Use it occasionally, intermittently.
But for those who may not.
Allows me to make suggestions, recommendations, and it feels as if it's their own ideals, as if it's something that they want for themselves. After I eat, you're going to get help. It doesn't matter if you're going to go to a rehab center or if you're going to seek out your parents, but you're going to swallow your pride. You're going to apologize and admit that you've been wronged by only yourself and your hubris. You're going to get help because you have parents that care for you. They've done it the wrong way, but they care. No more fulfilling these bizarre fantasies. No more sticking people up in the middle of the night. Give me your wrist.
Wordlessly and instantly, He pushes his hand out and pulls his hoodie sleeve back.
I'll use that same clip to draw across his wrist. It's pressure. It's going to hurt. This isn't going to feel very good, but I'm sure by the time it's over, there will be no marks on your body.
So, and you said you slit him open?
Using the clip just enough on the wrist.
Mm-hmm. You know, as Duke, that pain can typically shake the foundation of mesmerize or anything, but with a clip and that little bit of pain, it's not that much. It doesn't necessarily break it.
I'm going to slick a dot.
Just a dot?
Just a dot.
So, yeah, you would know taking a dot from a human would basically give them a real bad drunken feeling. They would be kind of trashed and drunk for the rest of the night and not black out, but they'll be hungover in the morning. 2 is when you would consider them kind of blacked out. They wouldn't even get up. And 3, they're barely still alive. And so you take 1. What was your hunger at exactly?
2.
Okay, so you're down. Yeah, perfect. Where do you leave him here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mesmerize right here on this point. Compel and rationalize. And tell
do
him
you
that
take
tomorrow,
his weapon?
I'm going to empty his weapon.
It's an M9 that you pull out, and you slide the magazine out and empty the chamber. Bullet flies out and hits the ground. The magazine is slid into your back pocket. The gun itself is now fully emptied of any ammunition as you double clear it to make sure. You've been around guns plenty at this point. It's almost watching like a martial artist with a gun, how quickly you're able to just clear it, double clear it, confidently and stoically. And I'm sorry, you were saying?
Guns. They're not very personal, are they? It's clean and safe. Take this headache that you carry with you into tomorrow and call your mother. Apologize. Say you need help.
Yeah, I need help. I need help.
I'll get up and I'll walk away.
As you walk away, you see, as we see over your shoulder while you walk toward our vision, while he's drunk and leaning up against the wall, not moving. He's clearly mumbling to himself. As you walk past the camera, and we're about to cut to the next scene, Duke, I want you to gain a humanity, please. You are at humanity 5. That's quite low to do something that caring and beyond for food, then desire for them to get help, to use your abilities to suggest that they move, and then to take away his weapon of violence. All of these were unnecessary gestures. You could have simply fed on him and left him. But instead, Duke in this kind saw something and extended all he could, tapping into the power of his own bloodline of Ventru to ensure this kind gets help. Brings you to what? Humanity
6.
6. Yeah, it's like on the border of like caring about kind, but not quite. Yeah, it's an interesting place for Duke to be. Did Duke start at 6, or was he 5 from session 1?
From the beginning.
How do you feel about that? I know this wasn't something you probably were thinking was going to happen. Yeah, Duke's always teetered that line.
There are moments of redemption for the character, but at the same time, like, is there really redemption for the individual that he was?
Well, that's a point that we'll be examining as time goes on. Don't worry. But in this moment, the actions that he took, all of them, as I was watching, were just seemed unnecessary, lest he cared in some way. And so I don't know how Duke walks away, doesn't feel any difference. Not like all of a sudden his heart beats all of a sudden and you grew 2 sizes that day. But I'll have to look at what exactly differentiates from Humanity 5 to 6, if anything mechanical. I don't think there is. Maybe animals you might be able to feed on again, because I think at 5 you might lose the ability to feed on them, but I'll look. We'll worry about that later.
Don't worry, I can't imagine it lasting very long.
not only that, but I can't even if you could feed on like animals. Not that I don't think you would.
I don't.
You are Ventru. You can't.
Yeah.
Never mind. You're fucking Ventru. You can't. That being said, as you walk by the camera, that motion cuts us. And we still see Duke as he walks from right to left in our vision. We now see him continuing to move to the left, but the scene has changed as he cuts through. And instead, we're in a small suburban neighborhood. A familiar one-story family home is what Duke clearly is approaching with ambition and determination. Do you walk up the front door, or do you go to the back like you always did?
Is this one? This is Luther's house.
Yes, correct.
It's definitely going to be a backdoor approach.
Mm-hmm. And you stand out in the back door. Do you rap on the back door,
Yes.
or do you simply wait? Okay.
Yes.
And it doesn't take long before coming out from around the living room corner that sits at the front of the home is Luther, but Luther Jr., of course. He looks to you at the end. That actually stops him in his tracks for a minute. There's a second where he's almost surprised to see you there, but then moves forward and doesn't let that stop him. Unlocks the sliding door as it rolls back with that definitive like whoop sound as it clinks against the wall. And he just motions for you to come in wordlessly, but doesn't say anything.
He walks in.
You walk in, he shuts it behind you. You can hear him click, and he keeps his voice low. Dad's sleeping, so sorry.
Of course.
Take a seat. Coffee?
No, of course not.
He goes and he looks to you before he continues moving. Am I going to need a coffee?
No, this is simply a small check-in.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yes. I am surprised to see you still here. I'm guessing word did not come to you about a new location residing in Chicago.
Were you supposed to send somebody?
I did. I suppose that was also shut down by Jackson.
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's just another notch in a bedpost of fury.
I just figured things were getting busy for you. Maybe you'd gotten out. I don't know.
Well,
so you're
neither here nor there. How are things here in New York? Are you still seeing issues in the department?
Things are chaotic, but I wouldn't say things have gotten worse.
Not better.
Steady. Yeah.
Well, listen, Luther, I will keep this visit short and sweet. I have arranged a situation for you in Chicago, where I'm now residing. Or at least I wish to be residing.
Oh, damn, man. Chicago. What a haul.
Yes. I bought a home there for you, specifically for you, and I have stationed round-the-clock care for your father at a facility.
Really?
The best care that money can buy.
But what about my gig?
The police department is vacated of multiple detectives. They've had a run-in with dirty cops, those that aren't really willing to do the right thing.
Oh, all right. Well, when are you looking to get me out there with Pops?
Whenever you're ready to relocate.
I mean, I gotta get some affairs in order. I mean, this is my dad's house. I gotta get it sold. I gotta get it taken care of, and I gotta figure out how to get him there and probably have to drive him. It's probably not the right time to say it, but, Dad's only been getting worse,
This is the nature of the disease.
Yeah, I've learned. It just happens fast.
It does.
Part
The
of me
legal
wonders if-
can be drawn and quartered. It can be handled very quickly. The house will sell. It's a rapidly growing market. I'm sure you've seen that houses are only escalating in price.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, this place is familiar to him. It's familiar to Dad. I'm afraid bringing him to somewhere weird and new for the last however long he has would do more bad than good. I want to
Perhaps.
go, though. When he passes, I'm going to take you up on that offer if that's okay.
The home will remain vacated until you decide that that is the case. And remember, your father wouldn't want for you to linger in the darkness of memories for all too long.
Well, that's why I'm leaving. That's why I'm going to get the fuck out of here. This is my dad's turf, you know. Everything I know about this place is because of him. I can't turn a goddamn street without seeing something he told me about, so I think it'll do
living
good,
in his
maybe.
shadow.
Yeah. It'll do good. It'll do me good to get out of the city and keep me busy. I appreciate that. You didn't have to do that.
Chicago's not exactly short of crime.
No.
I'm sure you have heard some of the details, some of the issues with the city.
Of course.
You'll stay busy, and I'll be there to help when and if you would like help.
I don't know what to say, man.
For what it's worth, I'm still sorry about your father.
Me too. He was a good man, and he was a hell of an officer. Even if he worked with dubious folk, and he smiles the best he can. That's clearly a pained smile.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll get a chance to see him again after this. You want to?
I don't need to startle his mind.
Well, he's sleeping. You wanted to look in on him one more time or something. I don't know. I just figured, I don't know if I figure out it off or it's maybe kind of weird.
Luther, I see him every time I see you. Apple hasn't fallen too far from the tree.
Hopefully far enough from the dementia branch.
One can hope. Get your affairs in order, and I will personally courier some paperwork here. Review them. Tidy up your resume, and if you are afraid to do just that, I can do that for you as well.
No, I can do it. Dad's taught me how to do a good old resume. What about the house? You say you got somebody who's willing to take over.
I can tie up your affairs here. It shouldn't be an issue.
How do I reach you then? When I'm ready to go, when things have kind of happened.
Your father is a Rolodex. I know it's a bit dated, ancient, but inside you'll see a Duke. And there's a number that is my pager. I've had it since the early 90s.
I don't think I've ever seen a pager.
Well, they're nothing to behold. It's not exactly mechanical mastery. He kind of like pulls it from a clip on his belt side.
Yeah.
Small box.
That is underwater.
Dated, I know. But it works.
Okay. Well, when the inevitable comes to pass, I'll make sure you know as soon as I can. And, again, I guess thanks.
Of course.
Just, he didn't have a chance to tell you himself, but it meant a lot to my dad. He, told me he got a lot of good done because you helped, so.
Well, let's not exactly make me seem like that much of an angel.
Well, I'm not going to pretend you're not what you are, but I just want you to know he had good things to say about you.
This isn't completely free. I don't want you to think that you're just walking away with something so easily.
Oh.
I need you, Luther, as much as you need to escape.
He nods. Oh, I'm not stupid. I'll be your in. I'll be what Dad was to you all those years ago.
If it gives you any peace of mind, your father never helped me do anything wrong. He only assisted me in solving issues, catching others, much like myself. Where he saw justice, I saw joy. It's solace. It gives me peace of mind, knowing that I can crack a code that others cannot.
Listen, not to be so blunt, but I don't care if you go home and jerk off thinking about it every time you do it. It's keeping people on the street safe. And, I'd like to think my dad was one of the good ones. And I want to be one of the good ones too. Sometimes being good in this world means turning a blind eye, right?
I agree. I just think you're at the point where you can't do that much more here and still grow into a way that you can do the things that you wish to do.
I think I agree with you. You sure I can't get you a coffee?
Positive. I'm going to be on my way. I said it was going to be short and sweet, and I hope that it has been just that.
It has been surprise from the moment you showed up to you walking out the door now. Be safe out there, Duke. You'll hear from me.
Nod, and he'll rise and let himself out.
He does. Door rolls open and shut. And as you shut it and make your way to the front, you see the lights go out. You walk to your vehicle. Out of curiosity, there is one other person you were looking to meet here.
Yes.
Where would you go? Hoping to come across.
I have a hunch.
I
have
feel
a
that you
hunch.
did, and I'm wondering if your hunch is right.
I want to go to Larson's old house.
You are a smart man. The drive isn't that far from here, all things considered. Larson and his family lived in a home in a little bit of a more well-to-do part of the city, with the big tall lanterns and trees that separate the sides of the roads, but the houses themselves, while big and well taken care of, are still so pressed up against one another. Very little space between them all. But eventually, the house that was once Larson's, that you have watched from a distance numerous times in the hopes of getting a glimpse of what was going on, sits just a bit ahead of you. All the lights seem to be off, and there is a for sale sign on the outside.
Does it still seem to have a lot of damage from fire?
Oh, yeah. It is, well, I wouldn't say a lot. What I would say is the renovations are still ongoing, and it's obvious, but the renovations have come a long way since you've left.
Sure. Okay, then knowing what I know, knowing who I'm after, I'm just going to go to the backside of the house, and I'm going to sit on the swing set and move just enough to make those
Creaking.
tines wrench and cling.
A familiar sight to us. Not Duke on a swing set, but the backyard, where the coterie all gathered that evening in a very threatening and creepy manner. I'll never forget that scene. Duke sits, the grass slightly overgrown. It's been a little bit since anybody's been here to take care of it. And the back end of the house, you can see, is the part of the house that needs the most work. And you sit for an indeterminate amount of time. Duke doesn't really pay much attention. He has the patience deep as a well. Eventually, as time passes, with Duke still swinging ever so gently, Duke wits awareness to see if you hear a certain someone coming.
Certainly. I'm gonna try. 4 successes.
Wow. You hear just the ever so slight crunch of grass behind you under a step.
Care to join me?
Do you stop swinging at that moment?
No.
Okay. There's a few seconds of silence. I thought you were gone.
I was. I'm back, briefly. Old habits die hard.
Why are you here?
Here in New York, or here at the ex-Primogen's house.
It's both.
Well,
And then
my
you hear
sire...
footsteps again as she's clearly drawing closer now.
My sire called upon me. He said that he needed some of my skills. But particularly here, at this house. I'd heard that you had walked the streets, and I couldn't think of a place that would accept you, based upon entirely your reputation, so I hedged my bets.
Who told you that? Where'd you get that information?
The Ventru know all. It's our job to know all. They say that the Nosferatu, they broker in deals, but the Ventru, they lean into the truths.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, but someone had to have told you. You came back as your sire. Then it had to have been your sire. So Cesar told you.
Well, someone told him, of course. He's not
Someone
keeping
told
tabs on you.
No, someone told him because he helped me get out.
How are you,
I'm
Mia?
well. surprisingly alive. She giggles, and at that point she finally steps into vision. Her bicolored hair, the pink and light blue, still maintaining the aesthetic of bright neon colors, with her lime green pleather short-sleeved jacket and pink checkered skirt with tall, thick boots.
What have you done since we've been gone?
Not a whole lot. I got taken in by Kadir, and your good word went enough to at least put me into prison without blood hunt or dusting. And then I imagine you left. I sat in there for a while, and one day someone came to have a quick conversation with me, and that man was Mr. Guzman.
Before I left, I had told my sire, amidst a few others, Kadir included, that I wished to leave New York with you in my charge. That I was taking you under my wing, just as I had with Sean Best.
Oh, is he okay?
Sean's fine, as far as I can tell. He's
There's
thriving
a look of
amidst
relief.
his personal changes.
She does a look of relief on her face. That's all.
We are maintaining a facade at the moment where Sean is my childer wherever we move. I'm trying to find someone that can properly teach him the ways of his clan. But if that never occurs, then this is fine. I've heard many terrible things about the dragons.
My experience with them is only ever slightly more than yours. But they seem to live up to their reputation. At least, Father did.
I'm hoping that Sean doesn't lean in it too much. That being said, he's a quick student. He's going to survive. He may even outlive me at this point.
I'm glad to hear it.
I would like to leave New York with you. I don't think that there's much in the way of growth for you here.
What?
Am I wrong?
I want to
You
jump
see yourself starting a family and beginning a career, or joining the Chantry.
No. I do. I want to jump at the chance, but it'll be better for me out there. How?
Well, they say that fresh starts are a thing for a reason.
Does Sean know?
No, Sean doesn't know. Vera knows.
What about Max?
Max doesn't know yet.
Okay. Maybe you should. I've seen what he can do. I don't want him to be surprised. I'd rather be alive and not getting anywhere politically than arrive at Chicago and end up dusted.
For what it's worth, if Vera knows, the others will find out quickly, and they will not go against her claims or her requests. And I request very few things, Mia.
Does Mr. Guzman know you were?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
He's informed. I'll be helping him over the next few nights, arranging some business agreements, tidying up some paperwork, lining up some of the appropriate numbers to join his favor.
Oh, okay. I honestly don't know how to I don't know how to respond.
Tough negotiations, right? Just consider this. You have one and all expenses paid trip to Gary, Indiana. Before long, we will be in Chicago.
And they'll accept me. Chicago will accept me.
Every place that doesn't know of your history will accept you. You You just have to announce yourself in front of the prince, and if it makes a difference, you're my child.
She
Let's make
takes
it
a minute.
clear. I don't own you.
She takes a minute and steps back and lifts herself up, and she just seems to be taking in the buildings and kind of like the streets and the sky. I have not known anything other than New York my whole entire life. It might as well be the entire earth to me. I don't know. And then
you still have so much to learn, and I promised you a way out of this chaotic mess.
And what are you going to expect out of me in return?
To start over, leave your bad habits behind, and help Sean.
Can you explain to me in detail what you mean by my bad habits?
Think for yourself, not when others tell you to think. Especially cult leaders. I hope that's a good start.
Your reduction of the truth bothers me, but it is your bloodline after all. Yes, I will not fall prey to any cults if the oversimplification of the events makes you feel better.
I oversimplify for a reason. It's easier to keep it here, mincing the words. I can't lie to you, I'm still upset when I discovered what you did to my dear Johann. But it's neither here nor there. I'll make a name for myself in Chicago's Chantry, just as I had tried here. As part of my goals, I do have a vast interest in some of the Tremere's work.
You feel like you should have been a Tremere instead of a Ventru?
Realistically, I should have died, Mia.
Well, that's true of everybody who walks like we do.
Maybe. My history is a little different than yours.
That much is true. I know we're rambling, and I try not to get off course here, so I do not see a reason not to, under two conditions.
Go on.
I can continue practicing my magic.
As expected.
The secrets will be mine to share. That is the way of the Tremere. And I wish to respect their traditions. And second, I get to talk to Sean. I don't want you holding me back from him. I don't want Vera hiding him from me. If I'm going to be there, I want to see him.
I'll agree to this under one caveat.
I'm ears, all ears.
I wish to have some of your blood and learn the Tremere ways. Even the most basic. I'm trying to expand my knowledge, and I will need a teacher. I'm not trying to bond you. I do not wish to be bonded by you.
She smiles. Oh, well. In case you weren't aware, the Tremere can't do either.
Wonderful.
Agreed. The blood exchange will happen after we arrive in Gary. While it is not necessary, there is a ritual I was taught for such things that I'd like to respect.
Agreed. Since these are agreeable terms, round out your affairs. We will leave in a week.
And I have your protection. Under your watch, Vera won't come for me, Max will not come for me. You guarantee me that I will be safe.
You have nothing to worry about from Vera. And if the others try anything, they'll have not only myself, but Vera to answer to.
And I will defend myself.
It's encouraged. Expected.
Then we
Survival instinct and all.
Then we are on the same page. I accept.
Good. As I said, round out your affairs. He stands. I drive the Galaxy on the corner. You'll
When are
hear
you
it
leaving?
chugging. I'm expecting 5 to 7 days' time.
I will be ready in 4. I'll meet you here. Pick me up when you're ready.
He never looks back. That's the thing about Duke in the situation. He never actually looked at her so that she's certain that he's not manipulating her with dominate.
It's a very important detail.
It is.
And as you don't continue, and you rather, while you continue not to look at her and walk away, that's when you hear her say, "I'll be here waiting for you to pick me up." And Duke wordlessly walks out of the yard onto the street. And it's the sound of the closing door of his galaxy that cuts us to black. Duke will be back in Chicago, Gary, next time we see him. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week. We're off to do an after show. Goodbye.